Eala just won her first match at Wimbledon as a seeded player, 6-1, 6-2, 78 minutes. The first Filipino seed in 148 years of this tournament, and she opened the account exactly how you would want. Fast, clean, no drama. And the opponent who beat her last time they played? Gone in 78 minutes. Let me tell you how this actually happened, because the scoreline tells you the result, but not the story. Remember everything I told you about Renata Zarazua before this match. She had beaten Alex before, August 2024, ITF event, fought back from a set down to win in 3. She knew the left-handed serve, she knew the forehand patterns. She had been Alex's doubles partner at last year's French Open, which meant she had stood on the same side of the net and absorbed every tendency up close. On paper, this was supposed to be the tricky first round, the one where a seeded player playing under that pressure for the first time in her career could get dragged into something uncomfortable by an opponent who had the blueprint. None of that happened. Alex broke Zarazua in the third game of the match, and from there, she simply took over, won 5 of the next 6 games to close out the first set 6-1. Not a nervy, scratchy start from a player feeling the weight of being seeded for the first time. A dominant, controlled, business-like beginning that told you everything about which version of Alex showed up today. Second set, same story. She raced out to a 2-0 lead immediately and never let Zarazua climb back into it. Maintained the cushion comfortably all the way through to 6-2. The whole match, start to finish, took an hour and 18 minutes. This was the aggressive, dictating version of Alex Eala, the Berlin version, the one that beat Rybakina and Svitolina. Not the cautious, protect-the-seed version that history and pressure could have easily pulled her toward in a first Grand Slam match as a seeded player. She played like someone who had already decided who she was before she walked on court. Here's the context that makes this result even more significant. This was Alex's first ever Wimbledon win. Last year, in her tournament debut, she lost in the first round. This year, she didn't just win, she dominated. And she did it against a player with a winning head-to-head and insider knowledge of her game. That is a complete reversal of last year's story, and it happened in the most important match of her career so far in terms of pressure and stakes. It is also only the second main draw Grand Slam match win of her career. The first came at the 2025 US Open, beating Clara Toson in the first round. 2 career Grand Slam wins, both first-round matches, both wins. A perfect record when it matters most on the biggest stages. And her grass court season now reads like this: 10 wins, 2 losses. Birmingham champion, Berlin semifinalist, with wins over the world number 2 and world number 8. Bad Homburg run, Queen's Club round of 16, and now a dominant Wimbledon first-round win as a seed. 10-2 on a surface she had barely played competitively before this season even started. Now here's the part that makes the next few days genuinely exciting. This win keeps alive one of the most anticipated potential matchups of the entire tournament. Serena Williams is in this draw. Yes, that's Serena Williams, playing her opening round match against Australia's Maya Joint. And if Serena wins that match, the path is set up for a possible second-round meeting between her and Alex Eala on the lawns of the All England Club. Think about what that means for a second. A 21-year-old Filipino who grew up watching Serena Williams dominate this exact sport, who has said publicly that Serena inspired her to pick up a racket in the first place, potentially facing her idol in the second round of Wimbledon, the same tournament where Serena built so much of her legend. That is not a storyline anyone could have scripted. That is tennis writing its own movie. It is not guaranteed yet. Serena still has to beat Maya Joint first. But the door is open. And Alex did her part today. She held up her end of the bargain, as one report put it, by winning clean and quick and giving herself the chance to find out. What strikes me most about today's performance is the manner of it. Not just that she won, but how comfortably she won. 78 minutes against a player who knew her game intimately, who had already beaten her once, who had every reason to believe she had the blueprint to do it again. And Alex simply imposed her game from the third game of the match onward and never let go. That is what a seeded player playing with conviction looks like. Not tight, not cautious, not managing the scoreline out of fear of being the favorite who loses early. dictating from the first breakpoint and never giving the door even a crack to open. The seeding pressure that I talked about before this match, the psychological flip from hunter to hunted, from wildcard freedom to seeded expectation, Alex answered it in the most direct way possible. She played like someone who belonged there, because she does. 148 years of Wimbledon, first Filipino seed, first match, win. 6-1, 6-2. Clean. Whatever happens next, Maya Joint first has to get past Serena, and then we find out if the dream matchup actually happens. Eala has already done exactly what she needed to do today. She showed up to the biggest stage of her career and looked completely unbothered by the weight of being first. That's the version of her we needed to see today. And that's exactly who showed up. Let me go back to what I said before this match, because it's worth revisiting now that we know how it actually played out. I talked about the psychological flip that comes with being seeded for the first time at a Grand Slam. As a wild card, you have nothing to lose. Every win is a bonus, every loss is expected, and the pressure sits entirely on your opponent's shoulders. The moment you're seeded, all of that inverts. You become the player who's supposed to win. Every dropped game gets read differently. Every hesitation looks like doubt. You go from hunting to being hunted, and that shift breaks players who aren't ready for it. Even talented ones. Even players who looked completely fearless a few weeks earlier in a different context. That was the real question heading into this match. Not whether Alex was good enough to beat Zarazua, she clearly was. On paper, on form, on every metric that matters. The question was whether the weight of being first, of carrying an entire country's hope into a tournament that has never had a Filipino seed in 148 years, would show up in her legs and her decision-making in ways that good preparation can't fully protect against. And the answer arrived in the third game of the match. She broke serve, cleanly. No hesitation, no nervy errors piling up, no sign whatsoever that the occasion was sitting on her shoulders. From that point forward, she played like someone who had already made peace with the moment before she ever walked onto court 12. That is the single most important thing about today's win, more than the scoreline itself. Plenty of talented players get overwhelmed by a first slam as a seed, first match carrying that kind of historical weight, first time being the favorite against an opponent who has beaten them before. Alex didn't get overwhelmed. She got businesslike. She turned a match that had every ingredient for nerves and tension into a 78-minute formality. And let's not undersell what Zarazua brought into this match either, because that matters for how we read the result. This wasn't a hopeless opponent who had no business being on the same court. Zarazua had won their previous meeting. She had specific knowledge of Alex's patterns from being her doubles partner. She had nothing to lose and every incentive to play loose and aggressive, the way underdogs with insider knowledge often do against seeded players in Grand Slam openers. Those are exactly the conditions that produce shocking first-round exits at majors. Comfortable favorites, dangerous opponents who know their game, and the extra weight of history riding on the outcome. Alex didn't let any of that become a factor. She imposed her own rhythm from the very start and never allowed Zarazua the room to find hers.